Hello, David Snowpack here, and this is a post-mortem devlog about the game Portal Bug that I made together with a team for the Godot Wild Jam number 23. So I haven't done a proper devlog about this game yet, so I just want to really quickly introduce the game. So it is a platformer where you play as this ladybug who can fly around in a number of ways. And travels through this little world. The theme for the game jam was Tiny World, where there's spiders and plants and well, I was trying to attack there, but I hit the wrong button. And other things that you would expect to find in a tiny world. So, a little bit of background about the game. I had two teammates. Let me go back to the beginning. I can show you the credits screen here. Two teammates, Tom Jensen, who is a composer and did the music, the sounds, and some of the art, actually. And Saba, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his last name, Shahrukh, something like that, who did the art for the ladybug character and the spiders and the plant enemies, which unfortunately I haven't shown to you yet in here. But yeah, I was kind of burnt out, kind of really burnt out after doing the Godot Wild Jam number 22. And so I wasn't sure if I was going to do something for the Godot Wild Jam 23, but I kind of thought like, well, if I can find a team to do it with, like maybe that would kind of take some of the stress off, and I can do this one kind of half as hard as I did the last one, which I really worked very, very hard on. And also, I really wanted to do a platformer, because I'd never done a platformer before. I have done 2D side-scrolling kind of things, but not platformers. And the difference there really is that a platformer is very focused on movement. So the movement and the moveset of the character is very important, where you can kind of see where this game does have combat. But, yeah, see, I can bite this spider. But it's really about getting to the next place, which this is Portal Bug. Your goal is to get to the next portal. And there's some environmental hazards and stuff that provide, like, the real kind of challenge. The challenge is all about jumping and movement and not, you know, landing on the spikes or falling in the pit or that sort of thing. And I think, like, overall, the game is okay. We made a game. There's parts of it that I'm really happy about. There's some parts of it that I'm less happy about. And I kind of wanted to just give a post-mortem for the experience of doing this jam. So I made a list of kind of like the things that I think were successes and things that were failures or maybe not so good. I don't know if I want to say failure. That sounds extreme, but you know, that weren't so good for the jam. So one of the things I'm really proud of is, you actually saw it here, the title screen. One of the wild cards for the game jam was to have the titles, the menus be in game. So rather than pressing a button to go over the credits, you have your character fly over to the credits. Rather than you know, go to a tutorial section, you just walk towards the tutorial direction, and it like explains to you, you know, how to do the movement and all of the different moves with these notes on the ground. And the way you actually start playing is by jumping up here, which if you haven't done the tutorial, you might not be able to figure out how to do. So the play area is kind of gated by having this game knowledge to be able to make that series of jumps to then go through that portal and actually start playing the game. So I'm really proud of that. I think that worked out really well. I like it a lot. I think the team, that was definitely one of the successes. Like the sprite for the ladybug is a really cool character. The music is fantastic, and overall, just the game is really different than what I would have made if I had just worked on my own. So I think that's really cool to, you know, have this group of people who are going to work together and make something that is bigger and better and different than what each of us individually would have put together, and that was really cool. And I think the movement, I think the feeling of the movement worked out really well. Right after the jam, there were two jam participants who streamed playing a bunch of the games, and both of them while streaming, made comments about how it just feels really good to move and fly with this character, and that is so cool because that's like really what I put. I think the most of my creative energy into, and I'm happy with how that turned out. I don't think the full moveset is good. I guess this is on my like list of failures here. There's this sort of diving thing that you can do, and you can also dive and attack, which is a little bit hard to pull off. See, I keep screwing it up actually right now, just trying to show you. There we go. There I'm diving and attacking at the same time. And then this sort of attack move. I think everything around combat in the moveset and in the game is kind of half-baked and kind of not great. And I don't know. I think the game might have been a better game had we just not had combat. I'm not entirely sure about that. But yeah, so overall, I'm happy with the movement and the moveset, except for the things around combat. Also, it was great working on a team. There were also a number of team-related challenges. I think the biggest one was probably just time zones. And when people were trying to like meet up with other people to team up on the Discord, they were talking about time zone. Like, well, I don't know if time zones make that much sense. Like, shouldn't it really be about when I'm working? Because like someone in my time zone might not work the weird hours that I have to work, which is basically after my kids go to sleep. So we were trying to line up like who's going to be doing their game jamming around the same time. And so, the members of my team, it was like someone in New Zealand, someone in India. So definitely totally different time zones, but like our jam times kind of lined up. So like, oh, okay, this is going to work. I think in practice, lining up time zones actually would have been pretty useful. There were a couple of times where I would post some stuff that I was working on and then go to sleep, and then they would be doing stuff while I'm asleep, and we lose like that chance to interact. And I think that would have been nice. Also, just like the waiting on other people to do things. Like in the beginning of this project, I didn't have the character art, and so I didn't know how big the character was going to be. Like the size of their main like collision body, the collision shape on their physics body, like has a huge impact on how we do level design, like how big each of the movement speed numbers should be and all of that stuff. And not having that for so many days, it made it very difficult to work. So I was kind of like working on prototypes with like programmer art and like a different asset pack. And there were like times like in the first like half of the project where I'm like, I don't know if we're actually going to have a game at the end of this. Like, should I really be putting all this time into this prototype with this temporary art? What if the real art never comes? So there was, there was kind of like a team stress there. Although in the end, of course, the art came and everything worked out fine. And just like my communication, I don't think was as good as it could have been. There was this time towards the end of the project where the other members of the team were going to work on some levels. So I, dumped a bunch of information in Discord. I recorded a little video, and then I went to sleep. And then I wake up in the morning and I look in the Discord and I realize I didn't tell them what Git branch I was working on. And so they were like in a totally different branch of Git and having all these troubles. And like, oh man, like, I feel like I made pretty much every communication mistake that could be made on a team, just with under communicating and not communicating clearly enough. But, in the end, we made something and that was good. But I'm a little disappointed in myself in that way. And like, there was still a lot of stress in this project. Like I was thinking, okay, I'm going to find a team. I'm going to kind of take it easy this time. And I did still totally stress out. And I don't quite have the right like life game jam balance, I think, figured out yet for this one. Maybe I'll figure it out for the next jam, or maybe I just will skip the next jam so I can chill out and take it easy a little bit. And then the last sort of like negative thing is I think I didn't learn as much on this jam as I have in previous jams. Like there were definitely a couple things I learned, like the movement code that I created for this character is much more complicated than I've ever done before. Like his state machine has a lot of states, I guess not that many in the grand scheme of things. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But, so that I learned a bit about that. There were some pieces of code that I've kind of copy and pasted between a bunch of different games that, like, while working on this game, I realized had some fundamental flaws that I just had never realized before. And so when I copy those back into their previous games, I can fix them. And that was definitely a learning experience. But overall, I just feel like, I don't know, I didn't learn that much. And I think that might have to do with the fact that so much of the challenge of this game was in the collaboration and the team dynamics, and less so in the game design side of it. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I can come up with something that pushes my boundaries a little bit more for the next jam. Anyway, I think that's really all I have to say. If you'd like to check out my game, it's up on itch.io right now. I will put the link in the description. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.